This is the CineSnob Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 321 of the CineSnob Podcast. My name is Cody Villafana, and joining me this week, we have a full house of Kiko Martinez and Jocelyn Durand. How is everyone doing today?
Good.
Doing well.
Here in San Antonio, we have a big tournament happening, so the city is like super packed. So
Yeah, there was actually a lot of stuff going on in San Antonio this weekend. You had the Final Four going on. You had the the Valero Open, the golf tournament that's here every year at TPC going on. There was the missions started this weekend, and there was opening weekend for the missions. There was a variety. I think the Spurs played on Friday, was it?
yeah.
As well. So and then of course
Fiesta starting soon.
Oh, and then Fiesta's coming up in a couple of weeks. Yeah, that's gonna be nuts. I don't leave the house when Fiesta happens. So.
Yeah, me neither.
Jocelyn, when you were in town, when you lived here, did you ever go to Fiesta?
Oh hell yeah!
Oh really? Okay.
I even went. Yeah, I went to Nyosa. Especially because I moved away from San Antonio. So then when I came back, I was excited to embrace all of the, ridiculousness, and also showing Gaetan what it was like. So yeah, we did that. We did the Battle of Flowers parade. We would do the dog parade in King William, Nyosa one time, and it wasn't bad. I remember hearing horror stories about Nyosa and stuff, and it was fun.
I guess it just depends if you go on college night, but I got that
right.
I got that out of my system, 25 years ago. So.
Yeah, no, I think there was the year I went to Nyosa, there had been arrests at college night. It was one of those years where it was out of control.
Cody probably has his mugshot up there somewhere.
It's funny
with a chicken on the stick in the mugshot.
in my 35 years of being in this city, I think I can only recall going to Fiesta once, and it was when I was in my late 20s.
Okay.
Wow. And then I would cover Oyster Fest and stuff as a reporter. I know
Oyster Bake.
There. Yes, that one. Sorry. Oyster Bake.
Well, what's the event you went to?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think I just went to it was something it was just something going on under the highway, where the downtown UTSA campus is.
That's that's the real bad Fiesta. That's what is it?
That's where you get shot Fiesta.
Yes.
I was
where the girls don't wear shoes.
Well, speaking of that. That's where I became aware of the term Fiesta feet. Because I think I wore flip-flops.
Well, that's not bad. At least you had something.
Yeah. Well, this year, Jocelyn, I'm sad that you won't be at the Oyster Bake to see the following bands: Hoobastank, Sugar Ray.
Oh man.
Tonic.
Okay.
Vertical Horizon, and Earshot.
Nice.
Well, man, Tonic. What was their song? I don't even remember.
Tonic had "If You Could Only See," and
nice.
and then they had one more that was a big one. It was what the hell was the name of that other song? I should know this off the top of my head.
I would rock out to Tonic if it was.
Open Up Your Eyes. You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
Or You Wanted More was another big one too.
Yeah, I feel like I had their CD. I think I know all those songs.
Yeah. You weren't into Sugar Ray?
Hell yeah.
Or
who wasn't?
I was not into Hoobastank. That's the one. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, moving on from that, I did want to bring up a quick bit of movie news, as you know, this is a movie podcast, which is that this week there was a news that Val Kilmer had passed away, and a really interesting actor who had quite a a variety of films that he played or films that he was in and roles that he played throughout his career. And one of my favorite movies of all time is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and I think a large part of that is because of Val Kilmer's performance in that movie. And he was a Batman. He had a really hot run in the 80s, and was in Heat and Tombstone in the 90s. Just a really interesting career. And I know, Kiko, you interviewed him, and I think you reposted that. What year did you interview him in? Do you remember?
It was probably closer to 2006 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, no, it wasn't. I'm way off. 2017.
Oh wow,
2017, and it was for a play that he was doing.
the Mark
where he was
Twain
playing
thing,
Mark
right?
Twain, yeah. So I unfortunately didn't get a chance to go over there and see it, but he was coming into San Antonio to perform it. So great guy. I mean, everybody goes and looks at something like Tombstone, and that they talk about how that performance should have been Oscar nominated. So Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, his performance in that film though is great. I love that movie and what he does.
I'm glad
with
you
that,
meant. I had forgotten about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but no one has mentioned Willow yet, and that was, I think, especially he plays a lot of super male like fan roles. Like my husband was super upset. We were by the fire last night. He was like, "Iceman died," and I was like, "Yeah, I know." And then so I think Willow for girls maybe more, but I mean Doc Holliday, Batman, of course. Iceman, he was just like a quintessential dude.
Jim Morrison, yeah.
Jim Morrison, another iconic like man crush, sort of a character.
Well, I remembered Willow because I named my daughter after the princess from Willow, so I definitely would. That was one of those movies that I watched on a loop when I was younger.
Same.
And if you've ever seen the documentary about his life, Val, I think that came out in 2021, and that was a really solid documentary on what he did with his career and how he really embraced, just those moments behind the scenes with other people. I think I heard somebody was talking about, and maybe you know better than I do, Cody, if you've heard the story in the past couple of weeks, that he wanted to go on Amazing Race.
Yeah, so there is an article, I think it's on Vulture, that is basically like an interview with Will Forte. So
That's right.
Val Kilmer was in MacGruber. He was the villain in MacGruber, and and I guess him and Will Forte stayed in touch after filming. And like years later, Val Kilmer was moving out of his house and needed a place to stay, and ended up living with Will Forte for like 2.5 months. And so the article is basically Will Forte telling stories from when they were roommates. And one of the stories is like Will Forte was like on the couch watching Amazing Race, and like Val Kilmer came home and was like, "Why are you rotting your brain watching this stuff?" And Will Forte's like, "Oh no, this is actually pretty good if you sit down and watch it." So I guess Val Kilmer started watching it with him, and like within 20 or 30 minutes, whatever, was like, "We have to be on this show." and like they contacted their representation and tried to make it happen, and it just didn't end up working out. But the idea was that Kilmer wanted to do Amazing Race with Will Forte.
Man, that would have just been.
Yeah, something like that would have been amazing. I'd rather see something. I don't watch Amazing Race or those, but I would have rather have seen something like that than like a Dancing with the Stars type thing. So
Yeah, and I was talking about it with my husband too. It's sad because I feel like he didn't really have as many roles as he should have. Like for how incredible he was, I just feel like there was so many like lost opportunities for like him to have even more roles than we saw him in.
Well, one thing you see in the documentary Val is like kind of how that Mark Twain thing like ate up so much of his life, like how invested he was in that. And then obviously like when he had cancer, and he basically kind of lost the ability to talk, or at least talk without immense strain. That kind of was it, right, for that. But from the years like 2013 to 2017, he didn't really do anything, and
right.
And and so. But yeah,
I feel like Maverick was a great send off. Like that just legitimately like put my little heart to like at ease for the end
in the sequel?
of Iceman. Yeah, and the way that Maverick like says like thank you or something. It's just like really they did it so beautifully, and I was super surprised by how moved I was by that movie. So
yeah, I love that movie, but yeah, I would definitely encourage anyone out there to check out Val. It should be on Amazon. Amazon released it, but it's a really interesting. So basically, the idea is that like Val Kilmer had a video camera with him at all times, and so the movie is made up of footage. I think they had like 800 hours of footage in his archives of home movies, him being on set, and then kind of documenting his health stuff as well, and like the movie is narrated by his son, who like sounds exactly like him. It's good stuff. But yeah, sad news. Great actor. And I don't know. I feel like I'm due for a watch of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang because it's been a while.
Oh, see, we're gonna redo Doors.
I've never seen that. I've never seen the Doors.
I saw Doors. My husband hadn't. So yeah, we were like agreed to rewatch Doors.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
Doors.
The Doors.
The Doors.
The Doors. Okay. Great. Glad we're ending
Kiss
there.
Kiss Bang Bang too, though. That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, then let's go ahead and jump into the movies this week. Why don't we?
Here are this week's reviews.
All right. Well, first up this week, we have a Minecraft movie. So typically speaking on this lovely show, we don't do a lot of solo reviews. However, this is the #1 movie in the country, big box office smash, and only one of us has seen it.
I took one for the team, guys.
Yeah.
Took one for the team.
Yes, you did. Kiko did see this movie. Jocelyn and I have not. So, Kiko, why don't you tell us a little bit about a Minecraft movie and what you thought?
Yeah, sure. So a Minecraft movie, if you're not familiar with the video game, it follows this video game store owner, played by Jason Momoa. Him and a group of friends, they're transported to this place called the Overworld, which is a dimension in the Minecraft video game. There they team up with the main resident of this Minecraft world, named Steve, who's played by Jack Black, to fight this evil sorceress and an army of pig people. So,
Okay.
People like Willow.
yeah,
They're doing
there
this
you go.
story again.
Pigs.
There you go.
Pigs, right? So I have an 8-year-old son, so the world of Minecraft is something that I'm familiar with, but not something that I find all that interesting, which is disappointing because I'm a child of the 1980s, so you'd think that something like 8-bit entertainment would produce some level of nostalgia for me, but it doesn't. The mythology, basically, what I have problem with is the mythology behind Minecraft. It's just always felt tired to me. I couldn't tell you, as much as I've heard my kid talk about it, I couldn't tell you characters or who's who or what's what in this world. I'm sure it's a generational thing, besides like the Sonic franchise, which I actually really enjoyed the first 3 movies, especially this last one. If you haven't seen Sonic 3, it was fairly surprising how well made it was. But I can't think of too many video game movies that I've enjoyed in the last decade. I don't know, guys, have you seen a video game movie that you really thought was good?
I mean, they are sort of like notoriously bad.
Even the big franchises like
I saw Super Mario Brothers recently, and I was surprised by how much. I liked it.
that was fine. I think the Peaches song is what got me over the hump on that one.
These movies all are pretty bad. I think the one successful one, and it's not even that successful, but it's like decent, is like Gran Turismo is not terrible. But for the most part, these, I mean, like if you look online at Rotten Tomatoes has a video game movies ranked, and there's only 2 certified fresh ever.
And now one of us probably Sonic 3, right?
One is Sonic 3 and one is Werewolves Within, like that small like horror movie one. But everything else is like Angry Birds 2 is at 72% and everything else is below 70.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think anybody's really found that sweet spot or that the way to make a film like that's gonna really do well. I mean, even back when they were just first making things like Doom, remember when The Rock was in Doom? Everybody was so excited about seeing something go from a video game platform to a film, and it just didn't work, and they just haven't found that.
Resident Evil, maybe.
I don't know. We're gonna have one in a few weeks, actually, coming out.
The first one.
Resident
Sounds
Evil.
good.
I've only seen
Until Dawn is coming out. But anyway, go ahead.
But even the big the big like world, like wasn't there a Warcraft movie?
Oh yeah, I went to
There
that.
was
It was
Duncan
Hitman.
Jones made it.
horrible.
Yeah, so
really
I
bad.
think
we left.
it's pretty safe to say I think we can all agree that more likely than not a video game movie is not going to be too great when it comes to the script. So anyway, with this Minecraft movie, I think it should be enough probably to entertain the youngest Minecraft fans. My kid thought it was great, but this is one of those kids movies, and I'm sure Jocelyn, you can talk about it. If you take your kids to the movies, sometimes it just feels like a chore for parents to get through. I mean, sometimes they're great, Like I loved watching Bumblebee with my kid, right? So I think sometimes they work, and then just sometimes it's just like really like it takes a little bit out of you. So Jack Black, he brings his usual energy to his role, and Jason Momoa seems like he's having fun as this guy stuck in the retro days. So those are really the only two brighter spots. I was a little disappointed because the director behind this is Jared Hess, who did Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre, two guilty pleasures of mine. I don't think too many people. Well, not a lot of people like Nacho Libre. A lot of people like Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
I think Nacho Libre less, but I just find that hilarious. But for this one, it didn't have the same kind of comedic sensibilities and awkwardness. So it didn't feel like a Jared Hess movie for whatever reason. And it's probably because Minecraft is, this thing, right? This brand, and they didn't want to kind of get too far off of that. So I think that hurts it. So yeah, I think, again, movies based on video games, they've never had a great track record in Hollywood, and really Minecraft isn't an exception in this case. So unfortunately, again, kids probably will be fond of it. I have Minecraft. Look, I forgot to bring out my Minecraft.
Ah.
Oh, I have
Minecraft,
one of those. I didn't even know what it was from.
It doesn't say Minecraft on it?
I don't think so. Yeah,
Okay.
my kids have one.
So yeah, I have tons of Minecraft toys all over this house. So anybody with a kid that is a Minecraft fan, they'll probably enjoy it. But for everybody else, stick to something a little bit, something that has a little bit of a better storyline.
Yeah.
We don't have to go over. I'll just go ahead and give my grade right now.
Yeah.
I'm at a C minus.
C minus. All right. And just before we move on, Kiko, I do have a bone to pick with your 8-year-old son in that.
Oh, right.
His top 5 Jack Black movies. At number 5 on your son's list was School of Rock. Which
this movie
is
knocked it off.
in this movie knocked off School of Rock from the top 5, which is just like criminal.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I told Cody, and he's only 8 years old. He needs a little bit more a direction from his father. And
I
then
think Cody needs to stop picking fights with 8-year-olds.
With 8-year-olds.
Jack Black.
Those are the ones I can win. You know what? It's interesting. Like, I think Jack Black has had like an interesting like second half of his career where he has kind of like split off into basically making like family movies almost exclusively.
Right.
He's yes, you have like the animated stuff like Kung Fu Panda and Super Mario Brothers and stuff like that, but like the Goosebumps movies and Jumanji and it's Bernie at this point is almost 15 years old, which I think was like the last like real like meaty acting gig he took,
and he did a great job, right?
Yeah, that movie and he in that movie are great.
Yeah, I'd love to see him go back and do something like that. I mean,
what if he shows up in the next season of White Lotus? Because him and Mike White, that might be a good turn.
That could be
would
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because what's his name? Wasn't he in School of Rock?
Mike White directed.
He wrote it.
Wrote it with him.
Yeah.
And they had like I just read recently a production company, Black and White or something like that. And
Cool.
so they have a relationship. That might be because everyone who's on White Lotus is getting nominated. Like.
Yeah, and I think that also Mike White wrote Orange County, which Jack Black was in, and they were both in that. Yeah.
But you can tell that Jack Black is in a comfortable spot right now
Yes.
with his career. So
yeah,
he's playing it safe. He's he'll probably do another Jumanji.
He's got Anaconda coming out next year.
Oh, does he? Anaconda. Okay, yeah.
Are you serious? Like
him and Paul Rudd. Yeah.
From unicorns to there you go, Anaconda. Wow.
I
didn't know about that one.
Why would
It's a
you touch
reimagining,
a masterpiece? Like just leave the original alone.
Yeah.
Well, you can say that about everything, right?
So yeah, and it sucks. It sucks because I think Jack Black is such a great like comedic performer, and it's unfortunate to kind of see him a little bit on autopilot for the better part of the decade, but I think he still has it in him, and I hope that and again, like the work that he's doing is like he's doing good voiceover work, and and on all of that, but like I don't know, I just would like to see him do some more interesting things dramatically again.
Yeah, my favorite Jack Black movie is, and he only has a supporting role in it, but it's High Fidelity.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
and that's the
yeah.
first time that I
God,
don't
he's
think
so
I
good in that.
knew. Did Tenacious D? His band came before that, right? He was already
Yeah. Tenacious
So I
D
didn't-
started in the 90s.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with him until I saw him singing on that movie, and so I thought it was great. But yeah, even if it was something like that, just a tiny little part where he comes in, pops, a nice, really interesting cameo, that'd be cool to see.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, then we'll go ahead and move forward. And our next movie is The Luckiest Man in America. So, The Luckiest Man in America is basically a movie about the real life scandal from 1984, where a man named Michael Larson, here played by Paul Walter Hauser, basically gamed a game show. He memorized the board on the game show Press Your Luck and ended up taking them for over $100,000, which I think I read with inflation would be like over $300,000 these days. And it was like a big scandal and story, and he kind of exposed the game show. And this is sort of a dramatic retelling of that TV show. So I want to start with like the beginning of the movie, because I think the beginning of the movie is interesting in that it lays out what I feel is maybe like an explanation for some things that don't work within the movie. So a lot of times when you get a movie that takes like dramatic license with the story, it will just simply say like inspired by true events or something like that. And that's your key to know, okay, like some of the stuff here is going to be inflated or, exaggerated or whatever. In this movie, it gives a longer like explanation that says this is based on true events. Some people's names were changed, but then it says something, and I don't remember the exact quote, but it mentions that like certain events are like compressed for time or something like that. Do you guys recall seeing that on the screen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I find that interesting because I think that it's in a way trying to excuse some of the flaws that this movie has, but I think it can't help but experience them. So the framework of this movie is that it's taking place over the course of the taping of the actual episode. Mm-hmm. So you get to see a little bit of this character coming into like the office for casting, and then you see a little bit afterwards. But for the most part, it is the day of the show, showing him on stage, showing him backstage, and then showing like a control room where there's producers watching it all unfold. And I'm not sure that this is the best way to tell the story for a few different reasons, because it feels very split between like the stuff that's happening on stage and the stuff that's going on backstage. And part of this is that this movie feels like to me that it loses like all sense of timing and time as it goes along. So the movie, shows him starting to win a bunch of money, and then eventually a producer and I guess one of the guy like in charge of casting, played by Shamir Anderson, is basically asked to go investigate what's going on with this guy. And so while this show, like while he's on the game show, this guy like goes out and finds his car, and then looks in his car, and then finds a bunch of VHS tapes, or van, ice cream truck, and like watches the VHS tapes, and then finds documents in his ice cream truck, and then starts calling people. And like all of this is going on like while they're taping like a 30-minute or 1 hour game show. Like it just like its sense of timing and pacing just do not make sense. It's really hard, even with suspension of disbelief. It's like, is this movie taking place over like an hour or 4 or an entire day, or what is going on? Mm-hmm. I found that extremely difficult to track. In addition to that, I don't claim to be an expert here on the actual story, but I did read the Wikipedia page, so I'm kind of an expert on it. And it seems like a lot of this stuff like didn't actually happen, especially like did not happen that day, right? So I don't think that they're like actually, at least what I could see from the Wikipedia page, like the guy's actually going off and trying to find all this stuff like while the guy is taping the show. Or I think there's like a phone call that happens at the end. I don't think that actually happened either. That happens during the taping. And so, you're taking this dramatic license in order to create this sort of like all in one day thing that I just don't think is that successful. The other thing that happens in the movie that I really had an issue with is because all of this stuff is happening, kind of like in real time or close to it or whatever. There's a lot of time spent backstage watching the team or the producers, watch this unfold. And from scene to scene, there is so much narrative whiplash going on with these characters. In that, like, so it's kind of led by David Strathairn, who is like the big time producer of the show, and I think he's good in the part. I like him, but like, it starts with him like being excited about this guy being a contestant, and then he starts winning money, and then they start getting nervous, and then they start to freak out about it, and then a big boss shows up and he's mad about it, and then someone speaks up and they're like, oh wait, this is a great idea. They're literally popping champagne, and then after that they get upset about another thing that happens after that, and just like back and forth from scene to scene, whatever they want changes. They're either excited, happy, scared, nervous, annoyed. It just, again, none of that stuff really tracks to me. It goes back and forth way too much that I just don't know what they want. Like, what do they consider to be a success, and why is it changing on a dime so often? And again, another...
Sorry, I'm just going to say it doesn't earn any of those things that they're feeling in that control room.
No.
That's what I'm...
No, not at all. Not at all. Especially when it's like I said, it's changing so quickly as part of it, and again, never feels believable. The last thing I'll say about it is that, again, because of the way that the story is told all in one day, I think what you're leaving out is a lot of like the more interesting parts of the story. So for me, it feels like everything interesting about this story is like implied, right? Which is like, this guy had to have like identified that there was like a pattern, and then he had to study and watch, and then he had to figure out like how to get on the show, and then he had to like execute the plan, and then there was like some stuff that happened afterwards. None of that is happening in the movie. Again, it's all implied. You're finding like VHS tapes of old episodes of Press Your Luck, and they figure it out, and you're like, oh, the guy has been like studying tapes. But like there's none of that like, how did this happen story going on, because it's all taking place backstage during the episode. And so I think what happens here is a missed opportunity at an actual character study, because I don't think we get to know anything about this guy. And I think that if you read up about him, like, he was kind of this like get rich quick schemey kind of guy who I think like oftentimes had like pyramid schemes, or like Ponzi schemes or get rich quick schemes. He was like investigated for it. Like there's like a really interesting character study here, a really interesting story about like how this guy exploited this thing. And I just wish that any of it was on screen, because instead what you get is like playing dress up and doing like 80s cosplay and telling this story from basically the most uninteresting angle that you can. Paul Walter Hauser is good in it. He's a great actor. He's good in almost everything he does, and I think that he delivers here. But I just wanted way more out of this, and I think it's hurt by the way that it's constructed. It's hurt by its dramatic license. It's hurt by the back and forth between what's going on, and again, the pacing. By the end of this movie, this character is like, again, like they're taping a half-hour or hour game show that like stops down for commercials every so often. But by the end of this thing, he's wandering around and like wanders onto a set where like Johnny Knoxville's character is hosting a talk show. I think this is supposed to be like imagined, I guess. But like at that point, I'm like, what is going on? Like, what are we doing here? Like,
I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all. It threw me for a loop.
But Johnny
was
great in it, though.
Sure, yeah, he was, yeah. But anyway, I'll stop there, and I'll go ahead and pass to Kiko. So Kiko, your thoughts on The Luckiest Man in America?
So yeah, I agree with you when it came to the getting a character study. I thought it missed the mark on that. I was waiting for them to really delve deep into like his psyche and why he was doing this, and especially how he did it. Right? That's exactly what I wanted to know. Like even if it was like just a real quick like him looking at the the charts or building something that's going to help him, or just watching those tapes. I mean, that's basically. But like maybe this the cadence that he used or something that was gonna just like really be like,
Yeah.
wow, that was pretty cool on how he did that. But I'll agree with you on definitely on that. I like the look of it. 80s cosplay. I think I'm gonna use that from now on with that kind of stuff. I'm gonna age myself. I used to love watching this game show when I was little. I think it ran from like 83 to 86. So I was about 5 or 6 when I remember watching it on TV, and I loved like I never called it Press Your Luck. I don't even think I knew that's what it was called until later on in life. I would just call it the whammies, right? Because the whammies are always fun to
For
watch,
sure.
and take everybody's money. So that was always fun for me. I guess the best parts of this for me were the retro kind of type of like squareness that it had. I like seeing like the 2-man operation and how they were making the show work, which is kind of was interesting to me because. If you see the way TV shows, I guess maybe I'm wrong, but I think TV shows are pretty big, or at least they were at some point. This production and seeing these two guys just run the whole thing was kind of interesting to me. But other than that, I mean, if you're comparing it to other quiz game shows, the quiz show Robert Redford directed back in in the early 90s, that's an amazing film. You should go see that. Even the like when they were doing the McDonald's documentary.
McMillions
movie that was interesting too, because it's about this corporate scheme. This was just about this one guy doing it all by himself, which I thought was really interesting and could have really touched on something that a movie hadn't done before. I mean, he was just like this driven individual with nothing to lose, and the paranoia sets in. I think they could have done a lot more with that. But I think at a point where I just got lost when he walked into that other game show or talk show or whatever it was, I lost there. There's a lot of like quiet moments that just got dull for me, where he's kind of like just standing around and waiting. None of that worked. But again, the look I liked a lot. I thought that it took you back to the 80s kind of and worked on that level for me. But again, I think that Paul Walter Hauser needed a better movie for his performance. He's such a interesting actor in that he takes on sometimes takes on these really weird roles. I loved him in I, Tonya. I loved him even in the Clint Eastwood movie, Richard Jewell. So yeah, those are probably the best things that I've seen him in, and I think that he has more performances like that. I think he hasn't got nominated yet. Was he nominated for Richard Jewell? No.
I don't think so.
He got an Emmy for Blackbird, or the one where he plays the serial killer, which I heard was excellent, and I never watched. But now that I've seen this and I saw how incredible he is, I'm going to go back and watch that show.
Right. So I think he has a lot to say as a performer. I just don't think he's found the exact script yet that's going to get him over the
which
hump.
will be interesting to see if he can pull off. So he is playing Chris Farley in a biopic coming
There
up,
you go.
and that might be the one.
Yeah, like done.
He's also in the upcoming Naked Gun sequel.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. All right, Jocelyn, your thoughts on The Luckiest Man in America?
Yeah, honestly, if you had told me that this person was playing Chris Farley before I saw this movie, I'd be like, oh no. And now I'm like, oh wow, I cannot wait. Like, he is incredible. I really wanted to like this movie, and I'd say for like the first maybe a third of it, I'd say like maybe 45 minutes, I was into everything it was doing. Like, his performance is incredible. He's so subtle and creepy and just like really off-putting. Like, as a female, you just get like real bad vibes from him, but
You
in
get the
like
ick. You get the
yeah,
ick.
but in such a like subtly done performance. Like, I was just like obsessed. And not only that, but just like the style and the like slow like foreboding that the director was creating. Like, I don't know if y'all noticed, but even like when he's on set and talking and the lights are kind of going woo, woo, woo. It's like super creepy, and it's just like creating this really interesting tension, and then the movie does nothing with it. Like, it is the most boring outcome from all of this buildup, where I was just like super into it, really excited about seeing where it was going, and then where it went was just so disappointing. And like what Cody was saying about how he can't keep up with the intentions of the producers, It's because they're trying to build dramatic tension, and it's so dumb. Like, they're literally trying to make it interesting by being like, oh no, he's gonna ruin our show. Like, oh, we need to buy more commercials, and it's like, this isn't interesting at all. Like,
Right.
if you wanted to inject this movie with the most least interesting drama, they did it. And
Yeah.
like you mentioned, they could have really gone in a direction where instead they were focusing on like the character study. Like if they had instead concentrated on him and what he did, and I'm guarantee he was doing some real creepy months of preparation staring at VCRs. In fact, I know because I had to go and read the Wikipedia page like Cody did afterwards, because they didn't tell us anything about that. But he did like this intense study, and they mention it in the movie, in the movie, that there was only like 5 patterns. But they don't even go into that at all.
Right.
Where in fact, like there was like, he studied the patterns, but also there was like 2 squares where no whammies would ever be. So he knew that if he stopped on those 2 specific squares, it would never he would never lose. And none of that is mentioned in the movie. Literally, there's nothing about how he did it, why he did it. Again, going to the Wikipedia page, you learn about him and how he's like extremely intelligent. He was like this extremely intelligent person, but just could not, do an honest day's work in his life. He was constantly doing these like get rich quick schemes. They kind of alluded to it in the movie where he mentions to some kids like, oh, all you have to do is open a bank account and close it. And then in the Wikipedia page, again, they go more into that, like what he would do. But here, it's just like they don't ever go into the interesting parts of anything that happened. And instead, they dramatized this really not interesting portion of the story, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really wish that this movie had been a lot better. I guess I can say it that way, that I feel like there's a good movie in here somewhere, especially with this performance. My God, I think Kiko said it best when he said something like, the movie didn't deserve this performance because it's just inadequate compared to what Paul Walter Hauser was doing. He's incredible, and I cannot wait to see more from him. And I'm going back and watching what he's done previously.
You haven't seen anything that he's done?
That's so funny. I've seen I, Tonya, so yes, but I don't remember him specifically. And then I haven't seen Richard Jewell, and I did, like I said, the one that he won the Emmy for. I remember everyone was going crazy about it, and it was just, shows. There's a million of them, so I never got around to it. But definitely now I'm going to go back.
He's
The
also.
word Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you've also definitely seen him. He was also in a couple of Spike Lee movies of Black Klansman and Defy Bloods.
Oh, well then, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I guarantee I've seen movies he has in, but I haven't paid attention, and I'm glad that he's sort of starting to break out as this, like, really interesting character actor, because he's just incredible.
His weirdest role to date is, and it's not even a weird character, it's just the setup of it is he's in one season of Cobra Kai.
Oh, I did see that on his page too. Yeah.
And for whatever reason, like he's just in those like 5 or 6 episodes, and then they never mention him again in the next season. He's just gone. He just disappears. He's just there doing karate, and then he's not there.
Doing karate.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into final thoughts and grades. And like I said, I just feel like so much of this is a missed opportunity for a character study. And I feel like they take the least interesting part of this whole process, which is like him actually going on the show and executing his plan, and make an entire movie out of that. Which don't get me wrong, it was a crazy thing, but again, like there's so much more meat on the bone that is just completely like left unexplored, which is really frustrating, and frustrating to the point where I really did not like this movie at all. And I feel like in addition to it being like just a missed opportunity, I just wasn't into it, and I don't like the pacing of it. I don't like the things that they did with the narrative. I think it's really hard to read at times, just in terms of like time, like the passage of time. And like again, that control room story, save for like a decent performance from David Strathairn, doesn't work at all. So I'm giving this a C-. Really not into it. Kiko, your final thoughts and grade.
Yeah, I'll make this short. I love the look. I thought Paul's soft-spoken and bizarre mannerisms were really good. But he has this whole "woe is me" character, which ends up being, there was no insight to what he was doing or where he was coming from. There's no character development. So that's what hurt it the most. So I think all the paranoia stuff was kind of wasted, and I think that it just all wrapped up way too neatly, and it just wasn't something that captured my attention for besides the fact that I think it's a very cool story. I think it's a very smart way to make money, even if he's like trying to do it in a weird an off-putting way. So yeah, again, missed opportunity here, and I'm giving this a middling C.
Yeah. And just one other thing I was going to say too is like, I wish that this movie was kind of framed like a scam movie. Like if they would have framed it that way, or like I would have loved to see someone like Steven Soderbergh take a crack at something like this, right? And do something that way. But yeah, Jocelyn, your final thoughts and grade.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying, especially about the control room crap. Like that all was super uninteresting. But for me, I did actually like sort of how it was almost like dream-like towards the end, where he kind of runs away. And then there's that portion where he like encounters some police officers, but he's on a set and he kind of wanders into the Johnny Knoxville set, which I kind of liked. And again, I was really impressed with Johnny Knoxville as well. So all that to say, I found certain elements easier to kind of hang on to in this movie, and I just wish that it had been a lot better. So I can't give it quite as low as you guys, but I'm gonna do a solid C+.
All right. Well, we're
Wow,
covering the full
across the
spectrum
board
of
with
C's.
the C's. Yeah, there you go.
Well, all right. Well, then we will move on to our final film of the episode, which is The Friend. The Friend is a film directed by the duo of Scott McGehee and David Siegel. Previously mentioned on this podcast that they also worked on What Macy Knew previously. That was a film they directed in 2012, a great movie. And this movie is about a character played by Naomi Watts, and basically she is like an editor for an author played by Bill Murray, and basically, and this is not a spoiler. It happens like literally in the first few minutes of the movie. Bill Murray's character dies, and they obviously had some kind of like romantic past that's kind of implied, and this is kind of like a journey of sort of like grief, as Bill Murray, his character had a Great Dane, and the dog is left to Naomi Watts' character. And she lives in a small apartment in New York. Jocelyn will have more on that later. And like, can't keep the dog. The building that she lives in does not allow dogs. Basically, I think people can kind of figure out the narrative here. It's a movie about, the dog is grieving and she's taking care of it, but really the dog is taking care of her and helping her with her grief. So,
The way you said that sounded like...
Oh, did it sound... Yeah, that's not what I meant.
Like there was like something going on between the two.
No, that's not what I meant. Anyway, so it is a story about kind of like, grief and friendship and processing that. And, it's a very sort of like New York story, it feels like, kind of dealing with stuff like, your building doesn't have or can't have animals or whatever. And then having like writer characters and stuff like that. It just feels, again, very like New York coded. And I don't know. I think the thing about this movie that stood out the most to me was that it's just kind of like dour and limp. The movie is kind of like a bummer, and not in like a good way. It is dealing with topics of like grief and death and stuff like that. But like, this is like traditionally speaking like a quote unquote dog movie, and this movie has like none of the like playfulness of what one might think of as a dog movie. In that, like, the scenes with like the Great Dane are not like necessarily funny or, like, I don't know.
You
It
wanted
just
more Marley and Me.
I just, there's like, it's just like I said, it's just this really like dour movie that like centers around this dog. It also does this thing where you have like this character here that is like, there's a lot of implication that this character is like really charming or like really magnetic. There's like, he has like 2 or 3 ex-wives and everyone is so charmed by him and all of this. And then you like really don't necessarily see it because Bill Murray is in the movie so little that you don't you don't really get to see what makes this guy so charming that, like, there's like 3 women who are all like romantically like complicated and complex, but it's that typical like, oh well, he's a writer, so he's like, it's just a lot of that's presumptive kind of like character trait of like, oh, he's
like,
a New York writer, so everyone loves him.
He's like rattling off like, Hans Christian Andersen quotes and like, he'll like quote Beckett, and it's kind of like
yeah, and
but there's
that
only like
happens,
one scene, so he does it like it, sorry.
Yeah. Well, and that happens through, there's like a voiceover that happens both through like Bill Murray and Naomi Watts' character. And I feel like the voiceover kind of narration is very, it works like 30% of the time. I think there are some like legitimately like powerful moments that come through that, but mostly it feels like it doesn't work. And yeah, it's it's the emotional climax of the movie is like this imagined conversation that takes place between his character, Bill Murray, and Naomi Watts' character. And for me, like, I think a lot hinges on that scene. And for me, that scene like doesn't work at all. I really did not like that scene that happens towards the end of the movie with the 2 of them talking. And yeah, I just like I said, I don't think any part of this movie feels as moving as they want it to be. I mean, the dog stuff is pretty like standard kind of like, the like the who rescued who of like the dog story kind of thing. And it just didn't resonate with me on an emotional level. I think that it has like some okay points in explorations of grief. I actually think that there is one like a good scene that eventually like becomes not interesting, but like the setup of it is good when she goes to like a therapist or a psychologist. I think there's like parts of that scene that are good, but then it kind of falls apart. I think there's like parts of the end of the movie that are good, but then kind of fall apart. It's just a little bit wobbly for me. And I think that even with all of that, I don't think that anything is particularly emotionally resonant about it, including the dog stuff, which always feels like it should be like a cheap or easy emotional hook. And I don't know that it ever feels that way.
Do you have a dog?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Did you grow up with dogs?
Really.
I'm just asking if like
yeah,
how if you resonate or not with like animals. Like, I'm not a sucker for dog movies, but I have a couple of dogs, so
I would say I'm less inclined to be moved by that stuff. So that is a little bit of like a personal thing because I don't have that same kind of connection. I've been like a dog uncle rather than a dog owner. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have too much more to say for now, so I'll move to Jocelyn. Your thoughts on The Friend?
Sorry, I just can't get over you saying that you're more of a dog uncle.
Yeah.
Also, I'm disappointed because you said you had a bone to pick with Kiko's son earlier, and you didn't save it for this review, and I'm really disappointed that you just like threw away that pun.
The pun, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So. I guess I'll start off with what I disagree, because I agree with so much of what you were saying, but I actually disagree with the fact that the dog parts weren't as like lighthearted and fun as this movie should be. I thought it was a more realistic interpretation of what having a dog is like and what they actually bring to your life, as opposed to something like I said, like Marley and Me, where it's like they're putting all this like human personification onto an animal, and it's like, it's ridiculous. It's not what having a dog is like. I feel like this was a more realistic version of like just having it around is kind of what they bring and that kind of sort of thing. So I guess I'll start there, even though that's not where I wanted to start. I wanted to start by saying that I really don't think there was enough Bill Murray in this movie. Like, you have Bill Murray, use him so much more, which is exactly what Cody was saying, as far as, like, you don't really get to know this guy and how charismatic he is and how, he's, like, got these 3 wives, which was also really kind of difficult to keep up with. They didn't really explain the relationships at all, so you're just kind of left guessing. Even with the Naomi Watts character, it's like an implied past relationship that they sort of mention, but there's nothing that they tell you about their previous lives together, or show, or develop with him, which is disappointing, because if he is this really charismatic person, then it would have been nice to have learned more about him. And I was laughing when Cody was saying, like, it's very typical, like, New York story. So I had in my head, I mean, this is like first world problems that I just couldn't get behind. Like, it's like, oh, my ex-boyfriend or whoever is gone. I have his dog, and I'm in this rent-controlled Manhattan apartment, and I don't know what to do with this dog. It's like, it's not a problem. Like, this isn't a problem. It's so dumb. And so it was funny because Cody kept describing it as like a New York story. It's like, these are intellectuals. It's like banging it over your head. It's not subtle at all. Like, the dog has a Columbia shirt that he's so attached to from his previous owner. And then literally Naomi Watts walks in wearing a Berkeley shirt. And I was like, oh, of course. Like, let's just throw in another, very established institution to establish that we're intellectuals and we're writers in New York City. It was so dumb. So that cracked me up. I just love that it's like Columbia shirt here, Berkeley shirt here. It's like, okay, we get it. Y'all are writers. Y'all are smart. Y'all are intellectuals. And yeah, I just think it was too much first world problems, and it's just not something that I found interesting at all. And I'm going to say this now because Cody knows it's killing me. A lot of people are talking about this movie and basically saying that it's like, because, oh, I guess my kid's here. A lot of people are saying that the problem is that it's a huge Great Dane in a small apartment, and that's like, supposed to be like funny or something, or create drama. And Great Danes actually do very well in small spaces. Like that, it's a huge misconception. So the entire premise of this like part of the movie, that she has this big old dog that looks like a horse in a small apartment, is incorrect, and it's actually false. It's a falsehood, and I need to stand on that for right now, because it pisses me off that it's like Great Danes are actually very good New York City apartment dogs. So I wanted to say that. Yeah, that's it. I guess I'll end there.
Okay.
And you don't have a Great Dane, do you?
No, I don't.
What are your dogs?
I have little guys. I have a Chihuahua that I rescued from the south side of San Antonio. And then I have a Dachshund Yorkie that he's also a rescue from Abilene, like a little weenie kind of dog. I will say also that I've been listening to a lot of interviews with the author of this book. And she also had made a point of mentioning, because the lead character, am I allowed to say that how they passed away? But I guess that they committed suicide. And so she was saying that she had read somewhere that a lot of people who do that regret it, and that's where kind of the premise of this movie started. And so I don't know, I just feel like it was an idea that's like a nice idea, but there's just nothing that really makes it interesting.
It was a nice idea for a book.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if maybe the book does a better job of what Cody and I were talking about building this character a little more. Mm-hmm. And then last thing I'm going to say, I also think Bill Murray was maybe miscast, because I think he's a little too old and a little too, like, not the type of person, like, I can understand like an older man being like her professor and her falling in love, but it's just not Bill Murray. Like, it has to be someone a little, just less Bill Murray, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to be rude about it, but it's just like, I just think
ageism.
Yeah.
No,
that's illegal.
It's not about it. Well, he was a little, he just is not who I was imagining in this type of the role that this
they need more like a Ray Fiennes type.
Yes, exactly. Like, someone a little more charming. Bill Murray I love to death, but I just don't think he's like, date your professor kind of. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Okay.
That makes sense.
Sorry. I'm going to stop talking before I get in trouble.
All right. Before Jocelyn cancels herself here, we will go to Kiko and your thoughts on The Friend.
Yeah, I have to agree on one specific thing that Jocelyn said, and that's in keeping with the idea that this dog movie, even though the dog's at the center of it, it just felt more like a human character than a dog character, and I appreciated that. I appreciate that they didn't do any kind of stupid pet tricks type thing, or they, she drops something on the floor and then he looks at the camera and is like, huh? I hate that stuff. I hate dog movies that do that. I there's like a pet peeve of mine. So, but the big thing, okay, so why? Okay, here's my thing. Right at the beginning, I was just annoyed, and maybe it's like because we're not from New York, and maybe this is the way New Yorkers would handle a situation like this. But why did he not look for the dog's owners when he found this dog?
Because it didn't have a collar.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. So New York's so big that there's not like a way to go online. Like if somebody
Especially
loses
such
a
an
dog over
expensive
here,
dog.
I think
If
the
somebody-
implication was that it was abandoned.
It's not a Chihuahua on the south side like I grabbed. It's a Great Dane in Manhattan.
yeah, it's a Great Dane in like
come
this like
on.
nice part of New York where he's running. Like it belongs to somebody, and he just takes it. And it's like, oh, this is like
That
I
person probably
really
had a heart attack on the trail. It was
maybe.
the owner is laying over there needing help, and then he just takes the dog.
And again, maybe it's just like I know here in Texas, if somebody was to, or in San Antonio at least, I mean, if somebody was to lose a dog, they'd probably find the dog within a couple of days because everybody's online helping each other out. And I've lost my dog a couple of times. The last time was maybe 2 years ago. We went to Arizona to visit family, and my brother, I left the dogs here with my brother, and he called me. He's like, one of the dogs got on, I can't find it. And so like from Arizona, we're throwing all this stuff online, making flyers, it ruined like part of our vacation, but we found the dog finally like 2 days later because of all these online, people looking for him and shooting out different, messages and stuff like that. So anyway, I just thought it was just weird. Like, oh, he runs into a dog and it's fate. And, but like that dog belonged to somebody. Some kid is crying through this whole movie. Where's my Great Dane? Anyway, that just annoyed me. The other thing is that Jocelyn just nailed on the head is that this is not a big deal. Like this movie is not a big deal. First of all, there's no reason why other than the fact that she has to go through this emotional thing and figure out like how she's going to be missing her friend, and there's no reason for her to have taken this dog. Like I don't understand. Like she meets with the woman who's like, I need you to take the dog, and she's like, no, my apartment doesn't allow it. It should have ended there. Like why? Like what in her mind was like, well, maybe if I sneak the dog in and he can hang out for a few weeks and then I'll figure it out. Like I just didn't understand.
If you have a rent-controlled apartment in New York, chances are, like it doesn't
they can't
really
kick you out.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really like track that she would be willing to like risk everything that she ends up doing to the point of almost getting evicted in the movie, right? It just like doesn't the rent control outweigh the dog?
Her trying to connect with her emotions about her dead friend. I mean, it's a nice idea, but I know. I totally agree. I mean, there was so many ways to get rid of that dog. I mean, what? That sounds weird. I don't mean throw it in the river or something like that. I mean, put it in a burlap sack and toss it into the,
It's 150 pounds, okay?
Yeah. But I mean,
bigger
I
than
think
me.
there's sections where they're kind of like, oh, she's trying to find a home for it. Anybody with a backyard would have taken this freaking $3,000 dog. Give me a break. She could have found somebody to take it. And it just seemed like this impossible mission that she was on was like, and it just it just didn't work for me. None of that. This is a very adult movie, so like I like the way that it handled like all the emotional aspects of it when it came to like the characters, like especially like the ex-wives or the past lovers. They kind of get together and talk. I enjoyed some of that, but because there's so little of Bill Murray in this, like has been brought up before, you're not even sure how important he is to any of these people or even to the dog. And so that's the biggest problem. I mean, tell me something. Tell me what he did in his life besides ride and charm
And
people
bang.
to death. Huh?
and bang.
And bang. Yes. Tell me something that he did, or like show me a picture of him with the dog doing something fun, or I don't know what, but
Right. Because you basically get one scene of him like holding court, and then like that's it. That's your entire context for that guy.
Right.
For the rest of the movie until like the very end.
Right. Yeah. So all the emotions for me were just skin deep. I did love Apollo though. I mean, I would never have a Great Dane myself. I couldn't even imagine.
They're very easy dogs. They do not require a lot of space. They don't have a lot of energy. They're actually very easy dogs to take care of.
I'm sure they are. My thing with dogs is that I couldn't imagine have to clean up all those big poops.
I see.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Naomi Watts did it. You could do it.
Yeah.
Naomi did it. Like she figured it out.
I just think that's weird, like having to pick up these big poops.
I
I have a Shih Tzu and a pug, so
Yeah.
little poops are fine. Big poops, no, thank you.
Now we're talking about dog poop.
All right. Well, that's a good enough sign as any to get to the grades and scores. So yeah, for me again, I agree, Kiko, that like the characterizations in here are skin deep. They're pretty shallow, and I think you just need a little bit more context for this character. For the emotional beats to hit the way that they are intended to. I think it doesn't earn a lot of the sort of explorations of grief when all of what you see is just sort of people reacting to the loss rather than really getting a sense of who he is or was. Again, I don't think that like the dog stuff really connects with me. Again, I am not a dog person, so that may be a little bit of some bias going on, I guess. But yeah, for me, and like I said, and I really don't like my biggest part of it. Our biggest issue with it is that I just think that the tone is just really down. It's a very low energy movie, and I feel like it just kind of drags you down a little bit. Not that it's like depressing or anything, because that doesn't bother me with movies, but it's just like it just feels a little lifeless and limp, but not like terribly bad. Just didn't really work for me. I'm giving it a C. So yeah, right there. So Jocelyn, your final thoughts and grade.
Yeah, and I think even just listening to you say that, because I agree with all that, I think also Naomi Watts, maybe her performance kind of does that. It drags it down a little bit. Like there's no lightness. It's like very kind of somber and heavy, and it's just kind of like a downer, but in a not a, like you said, it's not depressing because we can handle that. It's just like a heaviness that's like not fun. And there's just not a lot here. So I'm going to give it a C as well.
All right. And Kiko.
Yeah, I just love the fact that this dog was just this boring dog that just laid around. I really like the dog scenes, and it's because he was just being a dog, and there was nothing to it, But what really hurt it was the realistic nature about how someone would handle this situation if they were put into it, and the fact that they're making such a big deal about having to take this dog just was too much for me. So, and then of course, too little Bill Murray didn't allow this film to flourish in the places that it should have, which was connecting these characters and showing just how important Bill Murray's character was to the dog and to his past lovers. So we're going to give this one a solid C as well.
All right, C's around all across the board. So we, let's go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm responding to something that Jocelyn sent me. So we'll go ahead and wrap up there and preview next week. So next week, we're going to have a couple of theatrical movies that I'm excited about because it means that I don't have to watch the trailers in the theater anymore because I've seen them 1,000 times, which is Drop and The Amateur. Again, two movies that I've seen each trailer a dozen times, and I'm tired of it. In addition to that, Kiko and I saw the latest movie from Alex Garland and co-director Ray Mendoza called Warfare. So we will be covering that. And then we might have a, as of yet, undetermined fourth movie. We'll kind of see how it all pans out. But we will at least have those three. So if you want to reach out to us, you can email us at podcast@cinesnob.net or find us at CineSnob on social media. Kiko, do you want to announce the date? Or is that not firm enough to
No, we can
commit
announce
to
it. We can announce
Okay.
it. So we've been working tirelessly behind the scenes to create or to liven up our website, CineSnob.net, which has been around for over nearly 20 years. And we're finally to the point where we're going to be relaunching it. And we are giving the date of April the 21st will be the official launch date or relaunch date of CineSnob.net, where you'll be able to find all our reviews broken out into individual reviews that you can watch. If you're not into watching an entire hour show, you can just watch specific reviews of specific movies. And we'll also be debuting a couple of interview shows as well, where I'll be interviewing a lot more celebrities as their projects come around. So it's going to be a lot of fun to get this up and let people kind of peruse through the website and make sure that they catch all of mine, Cody's, and Jocelyn's reviews moving forward. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And I think like a couple of things that like to your point, one thing we want to do is we know that not everyone wants to watch the full episode or maybe people are okay with this being spoiled, but they don't want this one spoiled. So in the future on the website, every movie that we review will have its own individual page, and then you'll be able to click and just watch the segment of the episode that has that particular movie, which will be really cool. And then also, again, like Kiko is a very prolific interviewer, and previously all of your stuff has been kind of like sprinkled throughout like different websites, and it's never really been available in like audio or video form. And so, CineSnob will now be housing all of or most of your interview stuff, including audio and video interviews. You'll have access to archives of, decades of, written reviews and interviews. I'm sure we'll be kind of adding some stuff as time goes on, but we should be ready by the 21st to both launch those shows, the new website, have a little bit of content in there that we'll be able to do. So I'm excited about it. I think it's starting to look real. And it's been
and hopefully it'll get us to the point
good.
where it'll get us to a point where we get more opportunities, whether it's talking to bigger stars or whether it's watching more films that sometimes the studios look at San Antonio and they're like, oh, they're too small potatoes. Maybe they'll give us a little bit more opportunities to see some of those things earlier than most.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know how it works, they look at New York and LA first and then kind of trickle down from there. San Antonio, I think, is like 37th on the list at around 37th place in media market. I'm not sure where Atlanta is. It's probably a lot higher.
I think it's
probably
like top
pretty
10.
Top 10, yeah.
I think it's like 8, maybe.
That's awesome. So yeah, but San Antonio is the 7th largest city, so you would think that they
Yeah.
Atlanta, according to 2025 Nielsen ratings,
Yeah.
number 7.
DMA.
wow.
I know this because of the reporting, but yeah.
San Antonio,
Top
31.
50.
31? Oh, okay.
Above Austin at 34.
Oh, yeah,
Nice.
no. 34 is Austin?
Mhm.
Because when I was in news, Austin was like 50 something or 40 something. It was like
That was before the tech bros got there.
Yeah, true.
And Elon. Oh, Elon.
And
Oh,
Rogan.
Elon. And Rogan, yeah. You would think that Rogan would move
But-
it up to at least top
Right.
5.
Yeah.
But you bring up a point, Kiko, and maybe there's some people listening to this, is that you and I are members of the Houston Film Critics Society.
3rd, right?
They're down to number 6 now,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
but they are top 10 and ahead of Atlanta. Top 10: New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, DFW, Philly, Houston, Atlanta, DC, Boston, and then the Bay Area: San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose.
Wow, I didn't know Philly was that high.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because Philly doesn't have its own Film Critics Association either.
Oh,
Which is why, yeah.
I did not
I
know
think
that.
probably out of all of the top 10, it's probably the only one, right? If you run through them real quick.
Does Atlanta have one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Probably. I don't know.
I need to investigate. And that should be a question for me. I should know.
It has them, but you have to give positive reviews to all the Medea films.
Yeah.
Well, then I can pass. I'll pass that.
Jocelyn, is San Antonio the highest rated market that you ever
That
worked
I
in?
worked in, yeah. Oh, well, I mean, technically I was in, yeah, no, it's San Antonio. I worked in D.C., but it was during grad school, so I was a student. I wasn't technically.
That does not count.
Yes, I know. I know. That's why I didn't say it. So yeah.
Sorry,
San
I'm not
Antonio.
going to count it. Sorry.
San Antonio was
Yeah.
the highest I made it.
You can't count internships, Jocelyn. Come on.
All right. Well,
What about Abilene? Abilene, Texas.
oh.
Let's see. No, I'm just.
let me
kidding.
see
It's
if they
like
crack the top 100.
Oh
huh?
no, it's like 316. I
Oh,
think.
wait.
Huh?
They are not top 100, but they are 166.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I'm
that's
so
pretty
proud of Abilene.
They
Aw.
are just above Bluefield, Beckley, and Oak Hill.
You know those
If you can name the
places.
state.
Those lovely metropolises in
Sounds
North
like,
Carolina.
The farmers and Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah. Blue Hill,
Beckley and
Bluefield.
Minnesota.
No.
All right.
West
Montana.
Virginia.
Oof. Okay.
And then right under, they can't quite get to Billings, Montana.
never been. I've heard it's nice in the summer.
Well, if anyone wants to know the top 210 media markets in the country, I've got this
we're
list
here to tell you. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what we're gonna do for the next 20 minutes.
exactly. All right. Well, we have gone over an hour, so I think we're wrapped up here. But yeah, so be on the lookout for the new and improved CineSnob.net on April 21st. Nothing's really going to change here except for you're going to have individual access to the episodes, but we will have plenty more content coming up that you can get your little eyes and ears on. And yeah, anything else anyone wants to add?
Oh, just real quick, just in case anybody is wondering why CineSnob.net and why not CineSnob.com.
Yeah.
Real quick, when I first bought the domain back in 2006, 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there, CineSnob.com was taken for whatever reason. I mean, but nothing was on there. And maybe couple of years later, I checked it again, still nothing. Even to this day, it's still not available. And the reason is, and I'm sure some of y'all know, is that people buy websites and just sit on them. So that's one of the ones that this one gentleman owns like 1,000,
We gotta reach out to him.
2,000, and just sits on it. So I did a little bit of research, you know.
How much does he want? How much?
Yeah, exactly. I've
How
never
much?
gone that far to ask him how much he wants, but I would assume it would probably be in the thousands. That's just the way that things work, and which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, maybe if we can start monetizing the website, we can we can buy
Yeah.
.com one
We'll
day.
get it back.
.film anyway.
I don't know. I think .net sounds better, just speaking it out loud. So
.net.
I like it.
Sounds
Yeah.
more punch.
Sounds
CineSnob.net sounds better than CineSnob.com, I think.
I'm so used to it. It sounds fine to me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Interesting.
But you're gonna see our beautiful faces a lot more on the website as well. So you'll see. Check it out. A couple of weeks.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the CineSnob Podcast. To read reviews, interviews, and more, visit CineSnob.net. See you next week.